Not every business needs a full-time HR manager, but every business does need HR expertise. GTM's local, experienced HR consultants are here when you need them. From compliance to employee relations issues, think of them as your HR team on call and in person. Visit gtm.com/business to learn more. Welcome to Capital Connect, a GTM podcast featuring the business leaders shaping the capital region and making an impact on our future. Conversations about growth, culture, and what it really takes to build something special in our region. And now here's your host, Quito Delgado.
Welcome back to Capital Connect, the GTM podcast. I am your host, Quito Delgado, and today I am happy, beyond happy, to connect with Dr. Erin Napoleone of Choice Physical Therapy. Welcome, Erin. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to do this with you.
Me too. It's been a long time coming. We go way, way back, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But why don't you just introduce yourself as best you can to our listeners?
Okay. I'm Erin Napoleone. I am a doctor of physical therapy, and most recently, and for the past 11 years, my husband and I have had a physical therapy practice called Choice PT. And we are private practice in an outpatient orthopedic setting primarily. And we just opened up our fourth location. We have 3 locations in Rensselaer County, and our fourth is in Greenville. So we have been really riding this wave of small business, private practice, and what has sort of gotten us to this point is meeting amazing individuals who join our team, who make us hungry to continue to move forward and grow with them.
Awesome. And it's so good to have you. And congratulations. I mean, I know you're 11, 10 years. That's you guys celebrated last year. That's a great achievement that you accomplished, and to grow to 35 employees, 4 locations. That says a lot about you and Joe's leadership. So congratulations. But before we get into, what went into launching the practice, going into business with your husband, why don't you rewind a little bit and talk about your upbringing and your college studies and, the athletics that you and Joe played in college.
Okay. And a lot of that I feel like plays into where we're at today. So I'm from Troy, New York. I grew up right around Lansingburg, actually, and went to Catholic High. Got into sports there, played for Crystal Bombard, who was state champion basketball player.
Wow.
Yeah,
state champion?
State champ, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was already started seeing I was captain, so I started some of that leadership through sports. Then went to Ithaca College, which was at that point a transitional DPT, transitional doctorate of physical therapy. So I was basically just on the tracks there and played 4 years of college basketball as well. Growing up, I saw 2 really hungry parents. My dad is an entrepreneur. He owned his own funeral business, so he has funeral homes. So I saw the lifestyle that a business owner could have, the good and bad, but the long hours, but also the ability to take vacations with family. So that was something that I don't know if I always knew I wanted to be a physical therapy business owner, but having some sort of entrepreneurial outcome was, I think, embedded from childhood.
So you played basketball at Ithaca. Joe, you played football.
Yes.
How did you guys meet while at the school? Were you both in studying together? Like, how did that work?
Freshman year, we both were in the PT program. He's from Rochester. Didn't know him before Ithaca at all. He would joke that I got him through PT school, but I would joke that now he's carrying me through the life of business. So yeah, we just had a lab together, and his line was, what do all these red marks mean I did well? And it was after a failed grade. So we started studying together, and then that was freshman year, and so carried out to today.
Awesome. So now you both are athletes. And now you guys are co-owners of a great organization. Talk to our audience about, the lessons. How do you think being an athlete, in college, has helped you now, running a business?
I think it's a little twofold. I have a little bit of a competitive nature, and I'm disciplined in what needs to be done and sort of what types of approach you take at the day-to-day tasks that you might need to do, or the deadlines, or so the competitive nature means, we want to set out to have a business like no other, building off the experiences that we had before. How can we create a physical therapy experience that doesn't feel transactional, that does not feel like medicine, that feels, exciting to go to as a patient, but also a fun environment to work in as one of our team members. So that, I think, comes from that, we wanted to step outside of what was being delivered in physical therapy and just putting that continuing education at the forefront. So doing treatments that are research-based. But the discipline part is, it's not easy.
Man.
So it's not easy to play collegiate sports. You might know this more than me. The percentage to make...
Like 1%.
Right.
1%, yeah.
And...
Crazy. It's tough, but you did it. I did it, but, obviously you did it. And you did it at a high level, by the way. But I don't want to cut you off, but, I didn't realize state champion and you were playing the guard in college. So I think you're being modest, but you were quite accomplished. And again, but to continue, it served you with the discipline and now what you're doing.
Right. And just knowing that hard work is what it could take to get success. So it's nothing is handed out. Nothing is, so to learn each process that you need. We were talking a little bit before we went into physical therapy to become a doctor of physical therapy. There was no business training. So everything that was learned was organic. And my partner, Joe, he certainly, mentors me in that. He is so well-versed, well-read. We are a perfect complement to him learning the back end of how we do it. And then I might be the person going out to the community to fill the different aspects that we need.
Mm-hmm. So when did you walk us through graduate college? Did you have jobs separately? How did Choice Physical Therapy form? When did you know that, let's go into business together and start our own practice? Kind of what went into that decision making?
So we both did start out with 2 entry-level positions. We were in Rhode Island, actually, after our last clinical. PT school puts you in 4, at least Ithaca College, 4 affiliations, and you take that experience and live. So we had amazing jobs in Rhode Island. And then when we moved back to the area, got set up with a local organization who was a bigger company. We both got management positions there. So we were managing their clinics. And we did approach them to say, we are interested in continuing to move along. Is there any openings, or is there any potential for us to do this here? And we just learned from those 2 main employments, I guess, that was able to teach us what we would maybe want to bring into our own. During that time, Joe took a 1-year residency in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So he went on, got some residency as strict orthopedic studies that you have a mentor. They are asking you every question. Why are you doing that? What are you looking at? What are you looking to rule out? So that, I know he would say, if he was here, was invaluable for his own skill set to sort of progress. And once we both moved back to the area, we got married, and after those management positions, we said, it was at one dinner with his dad, and we said, let's take the next step. Let's open our own company.
When you first got started, what was the initial vision? And then how has that evolved over time?
Totally. None of this was ever in the initial vision. The initial vision was to be able to remain open and make sure we remain open. Yeah. I mean, we did not have this vision that we have now. But that was a lot due to everybody that we met along the way. So we were in a very, one other thing that I think started out when we were looking for spaces to open. That's a really important thing to look at. The one location was going to be in a healthcare complex, high rent, high price per square foot, and it seemingly would have been perfect. There was a doctor upstairs who could refer to us, but we did not have one patient besides my mom, who promised me she'd come, that we had ready to go. So luckily, not sure how that would have went. Instead, we toured this old car wash on Campbell Avenue in Troy. And it was, I think it was like $11 per square foot to rent out this space, and it kept our overhead super low. Mm-hmm. So we're still there. That was our first location. That's where you walked through the doors.
Yeah.
I remember it to this day. And so I remember telling people this was where the cars drove through. So that one decision, I think, helped us over the 4 years because we weren't, didn't have this huge overhead or high rent or some of these other obstacles that new businesses face when they have higher bills than any income at that time.
Yeah, I think what happened is you guys actually crawl before you ball. Like that's an old rap lyric or saying, but like, yeah, you got to crawl before you ball. Sometimes though, people get caught up in that whole, well, we're going to go get this, building, this office park for the optics makes us, and you're paying way too much.
Right.
Whereas you guys said, we got to stay within our means here. And obviously it was a great decision that you guys made. But starting a business with your spouse is definitely a unique dynamic. How do you guys like divide the roles and responsibilities?
Well, everyone asks that question about at least how do we work with our spouse every day. We met that way. We met in school, already on the grind of studying for doctor's physical therapy. So I didn't like when we were in two separate. It was nice to know, that my spouse is there, but the division of roles has been easy. We are totally different people. Where he excels, I do not. Where I excel, he could probably, I think he could do anything, but he lets me, it's true.
My wife talked about it. No, I'm totally right.
But it's true.
That's awesome.
So I don't think he couldn't say the same. I'm not the accountant. Like he have to take on accounting and finance, and the areas don't interest me. I like community engagement. I like doing HR and doing hiring and recruiting. And so it's been just, it was never like a flip the coin. It's like, what are you good at? What am I good at? And we sort of stay in our lane.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. We can talk for that reference in
yeah.
But what were the early days like? Like, what were some of you have such great energy. You make it seem like it was so easy. We divide and conquer, and we got this space, but I'm sure there were some challenges. What were some of the challenges, the hiccups, the roadblocks that you had to overcome? And then I guess the second part of that is, what bit of advice would you give to somebody who was looking to start their own business? Something that where you were like, I wish I had known this. I didn't think about that for launching.
Yes, we definitely did have to crawl before we bawled. I like that. I'm going to use that. But I remember when we were in that space, it was 2,400 square feet, and just hoping for the phone to ring, because we weren't doing much marketing. We didn't have a budget for marketing. We didn't even know what to do really. So there were times where we had an open clinic, but only one bed in the clinic. So now we have about 6 out in the open. So there was just, it didn't come naturally. We had to just deliver the care. And you saying about the optics, the way your building looks and what types of floor and like city line windows you're having doesn't matter unless the care you're giving sort of matches that. So every single patient we had in there, we started developing what we call now the CPT way, and how we treat your session is what helped us grow organically. So it was really the physical therapy that we were giving was, I think, what helped us to start. One person told their family member, that person told their next. And so it started to nicely fill up that way. But we started doing things back when it was silly. We would have a weekly meeting on Wednesdays at 1 or at 12 o'clock, which we still do to this day. At that point, there were 3 of us. So we still sat down and met, and we were like, guys, 10 years from now, we're going to be doing this as a company. And now all 4 locations meet from 12 to 1 on Wednesdays. So even if we didn't have much to talk about, we were planning and strategizing ways. But your question about what would you recommend, we did seek coaching. So I remember when Joe was upstairs in the car wash, and at that point there was a tenant up there who was above above our place. So we needed to acquire that space, but he was on the call with a coach who found out that we were new in business, and he said, this is going to cost $2,000 a month to do coaching. And that I was like, nope, we can't do that. Yeah. That seems so outside what we're bringing in. I'm glad that he sort of stuck with it, that it was important early on to be able to just learn from others who have done this. And I know that there's so much coaching out there now, and I think it's valuable. And finding the right coach and the right mentors. That specific coaching company we were with for about 1 year, and still some of the strategies that we learned there, mostly about marketing. They taught us how to create a low back pain, what did they call them? It was like an event that we would do on the weekend, and we would put it out to the public. We would put some Facebook dollars to it, and we'd get 30 people come in to learn their low back pain. And they taught us how to engage them enough to become patients. So it was hard work. We were working weekends. Joe was working 60 hours at that point. We started developing our our family. So we had one young one on the way.
Yeah, I mean, since when we met, you had you were just hiring your first employee. You had one building, and you had one child. Now 3 children, 4 locations, 35 employees later. I think it's awesome. But you just kind of snuck it in there. Talk about what is the CPT way.
So CPT way, it's a little. We look at it 2 ways: how we're treating our patients, but how we're treating our teammates. So the way we treat our patients is, being curious, making sure we are listening to them and what their goals are. It doesn't matter. We should treat every person differently. How I treat you, Keto, would be how I treat your colleague differently, because you probably have different needs for your day-to-day, for what your sports are, for what it is that you want to do. So making sure that we are listening to our patients and then coming up with their single most important goals. If you don't match someone's goals to their impairments, you're not going to get there. You're not going to help that grandmother out who needs to get their children off the bus by just doing exercises that don't help with that. So it was about really the PT philosophy that we use is the goals are driven based off of what the person needs to do. There's some other specific things that we do PT-wise, like test, retest. You know what that is?
I don't.
I'm going to test how much your shoulder moves in the beginning. And then after I work on you for 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to retest it and show you why it's important, why we're doing it. But I think that's something that we need to know just as human beings sometimes is why are we doing the work we're doing? So I think that's that. But also as team, we want everybody we've always used the 5 dysfunctions of the team. I don't know that.
What's the 5 dysfunctions of a team?
Oh, don't ask me all of them. But,
right.
So absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of accountability. So there's just ways that this is how you want to be. If you are working with somebody, now some of our clinics have 12 to 15 people in each clinic. So it's a team of people in there, and everybody has different roles, and no one role we've always talked about this, no one role is more important than the other. Not mine, not our entry-level PTs, our clinic directors who run, we all need to synchronously row the boat. So that's something we've started from the get-go is that there's not and people come in and they're like, well, top-down approach. What do we tell the people who are beneath us? And we're like, no, nobody is beneath you. Nobody. And we set that pretty straight pretty quickly.
Hiring the right people is tough enough. Your software shouldn't make it harder. GTM's applicant tracking tools help you post jobs, manage candidates, and find great hires faster. Capital Region businesses trust GTM to take the stress out of recruiting. Visit gtm.com/business to learn more.
Let's get into more about the culture, how you are finding talent, developing them. That's a big part. Like, I think, at least in my space, as we're out and about meeting business owners and leaders, probably the number one challenge they're all facing is finding and retaining good talent. How have you guys gone about, how do you go about finding employees, but then keeping them to have them?
And that is an lasting challenge, but especially being in New York State and in healthcare with low reimbursement rates. So we feel we have to do even more exceptionally well because other locations who are hospital-based or orthopedic group-based who might have other income, our income is only outpatient physical therapy reimbursement. So we have a little bit of less of a benefits package that we know than other folks around us. So we really have to hone in on our culture and what it is that we do that does separate you from maybe a hospital-based or an orthopedic-based or some type of different who might have a better benefit package. So where we meet a lot of our talent or our future leaders is through students. So we take on observation students, we take on clinical students, and there's an opportunity for them to become our patient care assistant role. That is this gap year role that is maybe someone's done a 4-year undergrad, they're taking a year off before their doctorate. So many of our current PTs have done that path. They were an observation student, then they were either a clinical or a PCA, and then hopefully they jive with us at that point, and they interview to come back.
So is there a certain trait, we talked about a little bit before we went live, but are there certain traits that you're looking for, regardless of experience, but you want to make sure they're going to fit, your team, your culture, what you're looking to build? Are there certain traits that you are looking for? Are there any must-haves you got to have when doing the interview process?
I don't know if we've ever considered a must-have, but when these things do happen, we are a little more confident that it could be a good outcome. So any person with leadership experience. So if they are leading something through their college, they developed a program, they are doing a blood drive, and they're the one doing that, I'll ask that. Tell me about what you did to lead this program if you are a leader on your team. So certainly student athletes are, we probably are a little biased, but it shows that those two things, that discipline and a competitive nature. So that's something that definitely can help if you were in some sort of athletics. I also think some team-based approach. You don't have to be an athlete, but if you've worked on a team, and that could be Girl Scouts, that could be sports, that can be musician, but you've still worked with others, that we think would better sort of translate to being successful with choice. And the last thing is if they've had hardship. Hardship is, you don't wish that on people, but we've met incredible teammates who had to take, public transportation for their entire schooling, and to say you've had a harder time getting to school, and you did exactly. So, or somebody who had no financial assistance through their college and took on 3 to 4 jobs to be able to. So if I really find that the handouts in life set you up for tougher outcomes in a job-based world. So those aren't must-haves, but I'd be interested if I should have some.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying, not every company is different. Must-haves, it could be something as small as, do you have a license? Like, you have
right. Did you pass your boards?
Did you pass your board? Like, those are must-haves.
Right.
But you built, along with Joe Choice Physical Therapy, you built it locally. How important has the Capital Region community been to your growth?
It's been huge. It's all we know right now. We just started this year expanding. It's still Capital Region. It's Albany County. Greenville's about 45 to 50 minutes away from our 3 locations. And we did that for one of our teammates who is from there and just has asked us to open up in her location. So we went with her. We trust her, and it's been amazing. So it did open our eyes that with the right person, with grit and with dedication to doing it, we could potentially go outside of the Capital Region if requested. But the Capital Region we're a small town here, especially in Troy, New York. That's where our 3 locations in Rensselaer County. One of our locations is only 8 minutes from the other. So, and I say that with worry because when we opened it, we were worried, but they were in 2 biggest locations who haven't had an issue with being so close. So I think that just the Capital Region, it being a community that, talks to each other and is does have health-minded outlooks, I think so far it's been in our favor.
So speak to, you do have 4, you just opened up a 4th one, you have 3 primarily, but how are you able to walk us through how you divide your time as far as making sure you have a presence, you and or Joe, at each location? How do you break that up?
That's been something that I know we're not perfect at. So right now I treat at one location part-time and do a lot of administrative on the other days. Joe treats at the other 2 locations. So we do have one of him or I in each of the locations every week. Now our new location in Greenville, we've been trying to go out there once a week, one of us. So we just make it a point and a priority to do that. We also, luckily for the world of COVID, we meet a lot. So we have a lot regular meetings with our clinic directors. So our clinic directors really help keep the flow of each clinic, and our touch points, although they might not be with everybody in the clinic, we are meeting with our clinic directors no matter what, weekly, if much more, but minimum weekly.
Awesome. So what's next? I mean, obviously you just opened up the fourth one, but the next 10 years, what does success look like to Erin and Joe and Choice for Therapy?
So just in the immediate next, we are taking billing in-house. So we have had where we've been outsourcing our billing, and there's been some just services that we've had to outsource just from being smaller. So we are developing a billing department, which is great because that allows team members who are currently on our team to grow into different roles. So that is what's happening actually in the very near future. So once we do that, that's going to free up some of our dependence on what we're outsourcing, and also that sort of holds up some of those administrative processes like credentialing and AR, so seeing where our patients' statements are and all that. So that's one big thing that we're taking in. That was a goal of ours actually 2 years ago. So we meet quarterly but also annually to project these goals. Once we do that, we feel then we are going to have more of control over our finances. So we have talked about, with the right person, with Ready to Grow, we have the potential to open 10, or more locations. It's scary to say that out loud, but we've talked about it with our team just recently in our 2026 rollout meeting that in Vision 2029, we're hoping to possibly have, if there are leaders ready to grow, to do that, to double our presence in the capital region.
So it sounds like, and if this is what I'm hearing, is you have you have the quarterly meetings, the annual meetings, but now you're also including current team members in on, hey, here's our ideas, here are our goals, and then you're incorporating their goals into it to say, hey, if any of you want to also, grow, and when is it going to be part ownership in those locations, or would it be just more of a managing those locations? How would that work?
Right now we do profit sharing.
Okay.
So how that this started, even before how we even got to 2 locations, is we were at full capacity with how many people we could help in this location with the number of providers. So that's how we got to 2. When we opened up our second, the same thing happened there. We got full, so that's how we opened up our third. So it's 2 based, where we have wonderful team members who come with us, start with us, and now they've been a senior PT for 3 to 4 years, and they're looking. So if we don't have it, we were given the analogy, if you keep the plant in the same pot, it cannot out. You need to make the pot bigger for that plant to continue to grow, or you will lose out on really great team members. So we just had 2 internal leadership positions open, being a clinic director and a clinic supervisor position, and we had 7 people apply. So that, although made it challenging to, so that is 5 other great team members who probably could take that role, but we had to look at some seniority, where their strengths would align. But that was really opening to us. That was before we came up with this 2029 vision. When we saw that, we said, we have 7 hungry people, so we need to grow for not only the patients around us, but also our team members.
I think that's important because, ultimately, you don't want your employees to ever feel as though they're running out of runway. Like, we see all the time in our business where maybe employees organizations outgrow certain systems that they're on. Why do you do it this way? Oh, we did it 10 years ago. It's like, yeah, but you have a completely different workforce now. You've outgrown this piece of technology. You really should try this, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same as that thing with an employee's, shelf life with an organization, where if they don't see, I can keep growing with this, or they're going to start looking elsewhere after a while. So you kind of talked about it earlier about, our benefits, we can't compete with the benefits. I think what you're doing with the profit sharing, that's your way of really helping you with retention of your employees.
And we try, and that is the hardest. And that's a lot of my seat, because I'm the one interviewing, and then these either new grads or experienced PTs who are I'll say, what is your range that you're looking for? And they are out of our range. But what I can lay out is their track to get to that range. I can lay out that if you are looking for something around that, for that, how it looks with choice is through leadership. And leadership is not just a word. Leadership is, open communication, having tough conversations, being courageous and considerate. So that's a new one that
sounds familiar to me, but we'll talk offline.
Yeah.
I'm curious where you got that from, because courageous leadership that's an interesting word choice, but keep going.
But, and that is, you can be a clinic director or you can be an office manager, but if you're seeing patterns and trends that don't align with the CPT way or our core values, you have to communicate about that and talk it through and be an active listener to see what it is that person's perception is. So that is the only way our growth continues, is if our leaders can keep doing that, because as you grow, the touch points with maybe Joe and I are going to get divided. And we want that to not be felt negatively, because we're hoping that all of the clinic directors and the department leads who we've trained for years are able to do the same type of messaging and encouraging our leaders to have those tough conversations and to go dig a little deeper during those direct support meetings.
All right. So you kind of touched on it a little, and I could keep, time is flying, honestly, and I got like 20 more questions I could ask you, but I want to be respectful of your time. But I do have like a couple more questions. You talked about the leadership. So what we found over time, I've been in the payroll HR space for 16, 17 years now. A lot of times an organization someone may be a great physical therapist, amazing at it. But now I want to be a leader. I want to become a supervisor, manager, or I want to, is there any type of training that you are providing them on the leadership side that when they do step into that role, like they can actually lead versus just being an amazing practitioner? Is there an investment that you guys are making on their behalf, or is it more they got to do it themselves and demonstrate it? How does that work?
I think it's a little bit of both. We would love for everyone to be self-led leaders where they're saying, I've read these books and these are the courses I've taken and I'm interested in this, so I've gone and done that. There are certainly some people on our team who have done it, but there are other folks who it does come naturally to them, and maybe they haven't needed to read the books or the courses, but they've maybe shown in their resume or in their prior experiences that they are just natural leaders. I'm sure you might be able to say you can see someone's a leader and they're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And they are corralling, they're communicating better on the courts. And I don't know if there's an actual leadership guide, or we are starting certain role-specific manuals, if you will, that are leadership manuals. So our clinic directors are going through training right now on, they are a little bit task-specific, but how to dig deeper. It's not just a checking of the box. It's learning why this task matters. But several of our leaders have gone through the Rensselaer County Leadership Institute through the Chamber of Commerce. So it's not required, but every year that it comes out, we say that we've had success with people going through some non-choice PT leadership. Because the other leadership just comes through conversations with Joe or I in their clinic director meetings. So I think it could, being a great PT doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great
leader. Yeah.
And we do have 2 tracks now for that reason, because there's a clinical education track where you can sign up to give courses, lead diagnosis-specific manual therapy, and still get on that continuing education course. Or there's like a clinic management course that you are starting to do meetings about what it's like to effectively communicate, to have the tougher conversation. So it's in the works. I think so far we've been growing, and the people that we're talking to, they've earned their spots through leadership by example in the past. But now, knowing that we just had 7 people raise their hand for 2 jobs, could we start that leadership training before they have the role?
Yeah, I just think take my advice for what it's worth. But I definitely think I see it all the time in different organizations where you're elevating people who may not be ready for that moment. And now you're opening up new locations in like where you can't be there all the time. It's like, are they making sure that they are, it's got to be buy-in from you and Joe, right? And they're you guys are all in alignment. And I think some organizations, not saying you guys would do this, but like they take for granted that like, oh, they know.
Right.
They're natural leaders. It's like
yeah, until they're put in a hard spot, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen this."
they gotta either have that tough conversation with that coworker who they were just kind of having lunch with months ago, and now it's like, oh wait, what? You're telling me to do what now? And so that's that's a great problem to have, because that means you guys are growing, and expanding. So that's awesome.
Well, and I feel like I want to just make sure, because we've said out loud we could be at 4 by 229. We are not growing unless there is the sort of proven leadership ready. Right. So there is no time frame on where those other locations would be or what. So because that happens. We've been approached to join larger company or national-wide companies to buy us and this is nothing we are looking at. So we want to do it when we are ready. And that's how the past 4 have gone. Nothing came. It wasn't. There have been people who said, "Why don't we merge?" And we're these 2 locations, and if we do that, then we'll be a powerhouse. But that it's just something that we want to do it on our time with our people when we're ready.
Love it. Stay in your lane.
Yes.
You continue to stay in your lane.
Yes.
Do it the right way.
Someone really smart told me that one time.
All right, you can tell the story. You can take it. But I wasn't going to, but like, hey, you want to give me a little pat? I'll take it.
Okay. Keto in 2015, standing at our front desk. I don't even think it had glass on it yet. There was nothing on the walls. Yeah, we were just very fresh. I think you asked me more so, why did you do this? And I went into the story that I already spoke, but then you gave me one piece of advice about what could possibly set us up for success in the future. It was to stay in your lane, and that you met many business owners who bring on what they're not skilled to do or start this new niche space that wasn't really in the first plan. And so anytime me and Joe try to get creative, one of us is typically like, I don't know, we got to stay in our lane.
I think, you remember better than I just think it's interesting, and because I try to, and at the time this is before I was a manager and supervisor, I was straight up selling our services, payroll.
To me, right?
I was trying to, you're still with us. Well, I'm just trying to sign you up. You're like signing up your first employee, second employee. But I just remember going through the paperwork with you, and then you were pointing at the different tables that you guys are going to have set up. This is going to be this area, this is going to be this area. And then the way I remember it, I felt like one of the areas in my mind when you said it, like, hey, in this one, at some point, this will be this. And it was kind of like, I was like, wait a minute, this don't sound like the rest of this stuff. And I don't want to be very respectful, though. I was like, I'm trying to close the deal. Like, let's not. But then I just kind of just said, hey, that sounds great. I'm so happy for you guys. You got to kill it. Like, just try to just make sure you guys really lock in on what you guys do really well and stay in your lane, and you're going to be fine. But I take no credit. You guys have been amazing. I love watching your growth on Instagram, on LinkedIn. So speaking of that, I got one more question. But before that, thank you for your time. Thank you for all the knowledge that you shared today. Hopefully it's been helpful to our listeners. So if they either want to, check out, you, become maybe clients, or maybe they want to collaborate with you, like the different schools and internships, or someone's looking for a job, let everyone know how they can find Choice Physical Therapy.
Our website, you can pretty much get all of that. So it's www.choiceptny.com. On there is our team page. So our team, you can apply there for observation hours, for our administrative positions, our physical therapy positions. And then one tab over is our contact us for patients. So you can put in which location might be best for you or closest for you. And our team page talks about which PT specialize in which areas. People ask me that all the time. I have back pain. Which PT would you send me to? I cannot choose one. And I say that, and I'm biased on who hires them. But I really think our team because we put them through the ropes to making sure that they are doing the best evidence-based care. So we just have a fantastic team and we are all doctors of physical therapy. So that sets us apart from other clinics who just possibly use a little bit more of the assistant position, and we are fully staffed by doctors of physical therapy. And yeah, I think so. Going to our website would be the easiest. My email's on there too.
Awesome. And in honor of the show, I think I told you this ahead of time, so you should have, hopefully you have it already. But who should we have on the show next? And again, the only caveat is you have to connect us to him or in fact, to me. To him.
Any industry?
Any industry, just in the capital region, leader, entrepreneur.
Okay.
It'd be great to be on the show.
Her name was Candy Huff.
Candy Huff. And who is Candy Huff? What does she do?
She's from Celsius. She is a natural connector. She hosts very big events across seas and has a large footprint of people who is in her network. So she would be really cool.
All right. So you're going to have to connect me to her.
Okay.
Sounds good. Erin, thank you so much. I know you're busy. Please let Joe know. Thank you for, I know we wanted to be here, but, the life of a business owner prevented that from happening. But Joe, thank you, for being clients, but then also just being such great members of the Capital Region.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck to everything. Awesome. Thank you.
Running a business in the Capital Region means wearing many hats, but managing payroll with spreadsheets and paper time cards doesn't have to be one of them. GTM Payroll HR simplifies your payroll with a secure cloud-based platform that runs payroll accurately and on time, allowing you to focus on what you do best. Visit gtm.com/business. That's a wrap on this edition of Capital Connect. Thanks for listening and for supporting the businesses and leaders that make the Capital Region such a great place to work and thrive. Support for Capital Connect comes from GTM Payroll and HR, helping businesses streamline their operations with leading workforce solutions technology and local dedicated support so you can get back to what you do best. Learn more about payroll, HR, and insurance solutions at gtm.com/business. We release new episodes every week, so subscribe to the podcast to catch our next episode. We'll see you next time.